They didn't start the fire. They just poured gasoline on the wrong soul. Now they're watching your glow burn through everything they built on lies. Welcome, chosen one. Oh, they thought you were done, didn't they? That you were weak, that your silence meant surrender, that your isolation meant defeat. They danced on what they thought was your grave. They threw a party thinking the universe forgot you. But what they didn't know was this. The universe wasn't ignoring you, it was crowning you. You weren't weak, you were just loading. And now, the devil's not laughing anymore. He's pacing, he's sweating, because the boss has awakened. Their little celebration is seconds away from turning into a full-blown funeral. And the most twisted part? They know it. Oh, they know it. But they still wear that plastic smile, pretending they're safe while the walls close in around them. Their fake joy is cracking under the pressure of your comeback. Their lies are choking them. Their gossip is turning into silence, not because you clapped back, but because the truth is arriving like a freight train on fire, and they're tied to the tracks. The moment you stop doubting your light, even the darkness gets nervous. Let's get one thing straight. The devil's not scared of loud talkers, viral quotes, or pretty prayers filtered through Instagram stories. He's afraid of the quiet ones who got up after being buried, cleaned their own wounds, and remembered who they were. He's afraid of you, and not because you're perfect, but because you remembered. You remembered your power, you remembered your path, and now, that fake power he had over you, it's crumbling. Let me give it to you real. The devil doesn't shake when people post positive vibes only. He starts sweating when a chosen one stops playing small, when you stop dimming your light to make others comfortable, when you stop begging to be seen and start seeing yourself. That's when the whole system of fear, shame, and confusion starts to crack. Because here's what most people never figure out. The enemy's biggest weapon isn't destruction, it's distraction. If he can't kill you, he'll try to confuse you, make you think you're not doing enough, make you question your timing, make you forget that the very fact you're still standing is proof you've already won battles most people never knew you were fighting. But not anymore. See, you've stopped walking like a question mark and started standing like an answer. And that right there, that's why fear, hate, and toxic energy, the devil, can't sit still around you. Let me hit you with a wild fact. According to neuroscience, by the age of 25, most people stop thinking original thoughts. They operate on autopilot, living out habits, programming, trauma, and borrowed beliefs. But you didn't settle into a script. You questioned it. You unplugged from the noise. You broke the pattern. And you didn't do it loud. You did it real. You're not following trends. You're becoming your own frequency. And the devil, the enemy, the fear, the old system, it can't predict you anymore because you stopped surviving and started creating. You're not a threat because you're perfect. You're a threat because you're aware. You've become what I call a blueprint breaker. You're not here to repeat what's been done. You're here to do what they said couldn't be done. That makes you dangerous. That makes you powerful. That makes you unforgettable. So don't let your silence fool you into thinking you're not making noise. Your presence, your peace, your clarity, it's louder than any gossip, any rumor, any smear campaign. And right now, the energy that tried to shut you down is quietly realizing they didn't scare you, they summoned you. Let's pause here for a quick reality check. If you're feeling this so far, if it's hitting something real in your spirit, go and hit that button under this video and make sure to subscribe if you know you're one of the ones the world tried to break but couldn't. Because every time you do, it tells the YouTube algorithm, this message matters. Chosen ones need to hear this. You're not just helping me share a message, you're helping someone, somewhere, who's drowning in doubt, finally realize, wait, I'm not crazy, I'm not broken, I'm powerful. So hit that button, spread the light. Now, let's get back to the truth. You thought you were losing. Nah. You were leveling up in silence. You were getting stronger in shadows. You were healing in hiding. The enemy thought they had time to stop you while you were quiet, but they didn't realize you weren't sleeping. You were evolving. The enemy's biggest mistake was thinking your silence meant surrender. It meant strategy. You've walked through fire and didn't just survive. You came out with blue flames. You're no longer part of the system they built to keep you small. You're walking out of it with your head up, your vision clear, and your energy unmatched. The devil isn't some red figure with horns. It's the fear that tried to cage you, the voices that told you to shrink, the people who only loved you when you were easy to control. But the universe, it's been watching, and now it's moving. See, when you rise, it's not just for you. It's a signal, a ripple, a shift. And the ones who tried to block your light, they're not fighting you anymore. They're fighting the universe itself. So stop doubting yourself. Stop acting like you're alone in this. The fact you're still here after everything means something. You're not the problem. You're the pattern breaker, the one the enemy hoped would stay silent, but you didn't. You woke up, and now the enemy's terrified. And we're just getting started. So here's the deal. If you've felt that fire rising in your chest while listening to this, that wasn't just motivation. That was your power remembering itself. The enemy hoped you'd scroll past this. Too late. You're locked in now. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you know deep down that your silence wasn't weakness. It was their sentence. You were never the threat they expected, but you're definitely the boss they fear. And trust me, if you're really one of the chosen, you won't just watch. You'll feel this to the end. Now, let's get into it, step by step. Number 1, the devil's biggest fear. A chosen one who doesn't beg to be seen. The devil doesn't panic when people are loud. He doesn't flinch at motivational quotes, Sunday smiles, or those posting fake healing online just to stay relevant. He feeds on that. What sends him into full-blown chaos is you, a chosen one who doesn't need applause, doesn't need the spotlight, doesn't need a room full of clapping strangers to know they're powerful. You scare the hell out of him because you move like a storm, with no warning, no noise, and no permission. The devil rules over empty validation. He builds kingdoms out of fake attention and shallow approval. His throne is made of likes, gossip, and insecure followers who chase clout like it's oxygen. He's the architect of insecurity, the CEO of fake love, the puppeteer of desperate people pretending to be important. But when you step in, his system glitches. You're the one thing he can't control, someone who doesn't crave attention, because you've already met your purpose in silence. You weren't built in public, you were built in private. And that's why your presence makes the air shift. That's why when your name is whispered, even his demons pause. You didn't need the platform, they gave it to you while trying to tear you down. You didn't need the stage. They accidentally built it for you by talking so much trash. You didn't even try to shine. They just couldn't stop dimming their own light, trying to match yours. And now, here you are, still rising, still growing, still unbothered while he's trembling behind the scenes. See, when the devil looks for people to manipulate, he looks for the addicted, the ones addicted to being liked, followed, praised. He offers them fame, attention, fake loyalty, and they take it. He doesn't fear the loud ones. He uses them. But you had every reason to bow to the pressure, to crave revenge, to scream your truth. But you didn't. You stayed still. You stayed solid. You let your truth speak when the time was right. And now your silence is louder than their screaming ever was. He hates that you don't perform. He hates that you don't explain. He hates that you don't collapse just because no one clapped. And that hate is fear, real, raw fear. Because when a chosen one stops seeking validation and starts listening to the voice within, the devil loses control. You became dangerous the moment you stopped begging for approval. You became untouchable the second you chose peace over popularity. That's when you slipped out of his grip and into your power. Let's make something clear. The devil isn't afraid of your past. He's not scared of your mistakes. In fact, he counted on those things to break you. But when you took that shame, that guilt, that pain, and turned it into purpose, he screamed, "That wasn't in the plan. You were supposed to fold. You were supposed to fall." But you got back up. Quietly, strategically, completely reborn. And now you walk like someone who knows where they're going. Because you do. You've seen behind the curtain, and you realized something nobody else dared to. You don't need to be seen to be significant. That's why your path has been so lonely. That's why you were misunderstood, ignored, lied on. Because validation is a leash, and the devil couldn't get one around your neck. He tried. He used people close to you. He used fake opportunities. He used moments of weakness, but nothing worked. Because your power doesn't come from outside noise. It comes from inner knowing. You are driven by something deeper than applause, something louder than clout. You terrify him because you expose the system. You're the glitch in the matrix, the one who can't be predicted. While others play for cameras, you play for legacy. While they scramble for attention, you move in silence with impact. And the devil knows it. Attention fades, but alignment rewrites the timeline. You don't just shift rooms, you shift destinies. That's the kind of power that can't be bought, bribed, or broken. And now he's losing, not because you shouted louder, but because you never needed to. While others screamed for respect, you earned it. While they begged to be seen, you became unforgettable without trying. And now, the devil is stuck watching you rise, while every lie he crafted burns in the light of your truth. Let's talk about pressure. Most people break under it, but chosen ones, we become diamonds. You didn't just survive rejection, you grew in it. You didn't just endure silence, you used it to build a weapon the enemy can't defend against. Clarity. That clarity is deadly. It sees through lies. It senses fake love. It walks away from bait. And that scares the devil more than any prayer ever could. Because what can he do with someone who doesn't need the world's approval? Nothing. He's powerless. You don't need a seat at their table. You built your own. You don't care about the room you weren't invited to. You are the room now. And that quiet confidence, that deep-rooted stillness, that's the sound of the devil realizing he bet on the wrong breakdown. He thought you'd stay broken, chasing love, validation, acceptance. But you didn't. You healed. You detached. You saw through the illusion and took your power back. So now you walk like a boss, Not because someone told you you're one, but because you remembered it on your own. The devil can't handle that. He's losing soldiers. People are watching you and realizing they don't need to beg to matter either. They're waking up. And every time someone breaks free from that addiction to validation, the devil's kingdom gets smaller. And what does he do when he sees a soul like yours, standing tall with no need to perform? He panics, he spirals, he starts throwing chaos, anything to get your attention again. But it doesn't work anymore, does it? Because your peace is louder than his pressure. Your purpose is stronger than his poison. You've built a life that doesn't need to be broadcast to be real. And that is the ultimate threat. You didn't come here to be liked. You came here to shift the balance, to lead, to shatter illusions. And that's exactly what you're doing. So if he's still trying, let him try. If he's still watching, let him watch. He's not in control anymore. Because chosen one, you're such a boss, you made the devil afraid of you. And he should be. Number 2, you glitched the system. Now the devil can't track you. The devil doesn't fear chaos. He is chaos. What he fears is the glitch, the error in his matrix, the one soul that doesn't follow the rules he built. And chosen one, that's exactly what you became. You were programmed to break, to fold, to repeat emotional habits like a robot on replay. He bet everything on you staying predictable, but you didn't just change, you escaped. You slipped out of his code like smoke under a locked door. Now he's scrambling? Because when someone the devil thought he trained suddenly starts walking differently, reacting differently, speaking differently, he can't calculate the next move. You became a ghost in his machine. You were supposed to keep falling for the same traps. That's how he designs the battlefield. Patterns, the same arguments, same types of toxic people, same loops of anxiety and self-doubt. He set it up so that your pain would be automatic. Your triggers would be weapons he fired. He used to know your every response before you gave it. Predictability is how he puppeteers the world. But not you. You stopped falling for the bait. You stopped running toward fake love just to feel less alone. You stopped over-explaining to people who never deserved your truth. You stopped begging the world to see your worth and finally started acting like you already knew it. And right then, he lost his grip. Now, you're too quiet for him to track and too wise for him to trick. You became unpredictable, and to an enemy who only survives through patterns, that makes you lethal. He wasn't expecting this version of you, this calm, clear, collected soul who doesn't flinch when manipulated, who doesn't explode when triggered, who doesn't bite when baited. You used to move emotionally, now you move strategically. You used to break at the first sign of rejection, now you don't even blink. You used to spiral in silence. Now your silence is strategy. And that makes the devil mad, real mad, because every time he presses a button that used to work on you and nothing happens, he realizes you're no longer on his map. You've left his simulation, you're rewriting your code, and you've become the glitch that exposes the whole system. Here's the thing, the devil doesn't fear believers. He fears breakers. He fears the ones who break curses, break cycles, break generational programming. He fears the soul that doesn't follow the script. You were supposed to be another product of your pain, but you stopped letting trauma write your story. You took the pen back. And now, he can't read your chapters before you write them. That's why he's throwing everything at you now. Confusion, betrayal, silence, fake friends, random chaos. Not because he's strong, but because he's panicking. You're walking in uncharted territory. You're not emotionally baited anymore. You're not triggered by old wounds anymore. You're not dancing in dysfunction just to feel alive. You know what you're doing, and you know who you are. You've become a master of self-awareness. And self-awareness, that's the devil's kryptonite. He can't manipulate someone who watches their own thoughts. He can't rerun programs in someone who rewrote the code. You're not on emotional autopilot anymore. You're flying this thing yourself, and that's terrifying to him. You see, Chosen One, your old self was predictable. The one that let people back in just because they apologized. The one that kept showing up to tables that fed your insecurities. The one that needed noise to feel noticed. But that version of you, dead and buried, and out of that funeral rose the wild card, the force, the mystery, the one he can't follow anymore. You stopped playing the game, and not only did you stop playing it, you started flipping the whole board. You're not a reaction anymore. You're a move, a powerful, calculated, deliberate move made with full awareness and zero desperation. That's not healing. That's war. You became dangerous the moment you stopped being emotional for free, the moment you started conserving your energy, keeping your peace sacred, and watching without reacting, the moment you saw his tricks and laughed instead of cried. Now, the devil can't touch you, not because he isn't trying, but because you don't live at the same frequency anymore. You've become invisible to the chaos that once found you so easily, and now he's furious. You're walking in full alignment while he's screaming in confusion. You've become what he fears most, a chosen one with clarity, a soul that sees the setup before the fall, a mind that rewrote its triggers, a presence that doesn't move for noise. And let's be real, he hates that your silence is smarter than his schemes, that you outgrew the game without ever announcing it. Let this be clear, your unpredictability isn't rebellion, it's freedom. You were never created to be a slave to emotions, to fake love, to old pain. You were created to be a disruptor, a breaker, a boss. And now, you're walking like it. That's why they can't predict you anymore. The devil sends distractions hoping you'll chase them. You don't. He sends fake friends hoping you'll let them in. You don't. He sends reminders of your past hoping you'll go backward. You won't. You've outgrown his reach and it's driving him insane. You're not in survival mode. You're in strategy mode. And a chosen one in strategy mode is the devil's worst nightmare. So let him throw his last cards. Let him spin his lies. Let him try every backdoor into your peace. It won't work, because while he's stuck playing checkers, you're rewriting the entire game and building the board yourself. You're not a prisoner of your past. You're the architect of your next level. He can't track you. He can't predict you. And now he can't stop you. You glitched the system. And now the devil's watching it crash, with your name written all over the wreckage. Number 3, you turned pain into pattern recognition. Now the devil's out of tricks. There was a time the devil had you on a string. All it took was a familiar wound, a certain look, a certain tone, a silent room, and you'd spiral. He'd whisper just enough to echo something from your past, and boom, you'd explode, or crumble, or overextend yourself for people who never gave a damn, and the devil loved it. He danced every time he made you break your own boundaries. He watched you fold for comfort, beg for closure, and chase love that only existed to drain you. But now, you know yourself too well. He's still trying the same old tricks, but you're not the same old person. You don't just feel pain anymore. You study it, you dissect it, you watch it walk in the door and ask it what it wants this time. That kind of self-awareness, that's not healing, that's power, that's control. And the devil hates it. Because here's the secret: he doesn't create new weapons. He just keeps using the old ones, hoping you're still broken in the same places. He doesn't have to invent new enemies. He just recycles old patterns. People who trigger old wounds, situations that mirror old betrayals, sounds, smells, faces, silences that make your nervous system remember something painful. So you'll fall into reaction instead of response. He used to bank on that. Your pain was his remote control. He didn't need chains when he could just replay your trauma on loop. But now, you feel it and don't fall for it. You notice the sting and don't flinch. You pause, breathe, analyze. You ask better questions now. Why does this feel familiar? Whose voice is that in my head right now? Is this a wound or is this real? That kind of pause breaks his entire grip. Because the devil operates in speed and emotion. He needs you to move before you think, react before you reflect. But when you start catching yourself mid-reaction, he loses his timing. And once he loses timing, he loses everything. You've become fluent in your own emotions. You don't run from them. You don't drown in them. You read them like a language now. You used to call yourself sensitive, like it was a flaw. Now you understand it was a gift. You just needed control. And now that you've mastered it, you can spot manipulation before it speaks. You can smell the energy shift when something's off. You don't need facts. You've got patterns. You've got a sixth sense the devil can't corrupt. You've seen this dance before: the love bomb, the gaslight, the breadcrumbing, the guilt trip, the fake apology, the "I've changed" lie. It used to pull you in. Now, it makes you smirk. Because you've seen this movie. You starred in this movie. But this time, you're not playing the same character. And that switch? It terrifies him. See, you used to be reactive. He could bait you into self-destruction with just a whisper. Now you're responsive. And response is power. Response is strategy. Response is wisdom. You're not scrambling anymore. You're studying. You're calm. You're unshaken. And to the devil, your calm is a siren. It's the sound of defeat. You've gotten so good at tracking your inner world that you can tell the difference between a trigger and a truth. That's lethal, because most people can't. Most people live inside emotional chaos, but you stepped outside of it. You learned your emotional language like a map, and now when something shows up that feels like an old wound, you know it's not a sign to run. It's a sign to wake up. You don't hand out second chances like candy anymore. You don't ignore red flags for the sake of potential. You don't shrink yourself just to avoid conflict. You stand tall in discomfort now because your discomfort is no longer a prison. It's information. The devil can't play with someone who uses pain as intel. He underestimated how deeply you were going to know yourself. He thought if he kept sending the same tests in different disguises, you'd stay too emotional to notice. But now you see everything. You don't get lost in the fog. You recognize the patterns while they're forming, not after they break you. That level of clarity, it's dangerous. It's disruptive. It ruins every blueprint he had on you. And here's the real kicker. Your growth doesn't just protect you, it makes you a threat, because other people are watching. They're seeing how you move, how you handle conflict, how you say no without guilt, how you walk away without looking back, how you don't explain your peace to people committed to misunderstanding you, and they're learning. Your evolution is contagious, and every person you inspire is one less pawn for the devil to use. You've become the firewall, the blueprint breaker, the one who won't pass on the trauma, and for someone who feeds off generational cycles and emotional predictability, that makes you public enemy number one. He doesn't know how to break you anymore because you keep breaking his patterns instead. Now, when pain shows up, you don't fold, you investigate, you don't shrink, you scan the source, you don't beg, you observe, and that self-command makes every old tactic useless. The devil's running out of tricks, and you're not running at all. You're still, and your stillness is not silence, it's dominance. You're not avoiding triggers, you've outgrown them. And that evolution, it doesn't look dramatic. It looks like peace. It looks like discipline. It looks like not texting back, not arguing, not showing up to emotional traps. It looks like control, and control is what he never wanted you to find. But you did, and now he can't manipulate what you manage. He can't haunt what you understand. He can't twist what you already healed. Your awareness has made you unpredictable. Your strength has made you unreadable. Your peace has made you untouchable. And every time you walk through familiar pain without falling into it again, the devil cries a little more. Because you're not just surviving anymore. You're studying, learning, leading. And the game he created for you to fail, you rewrote the rules. He built a maze, and you became the architect. He handed you pain, and you turned it into wisdom. He tried to trap you in the same cycle, but you woke up in the middle of the loop and set it on fire. So let him try again. Let him dress the same hurt in new clothes. You'll see it coming, and you won't just dodge it. You'll watch it walk in and thank it for the lesson. Because when you know your triggers, the devil can't pull them. And that's when the game ends. Number 4, you're not here for applause. You're on assignment, so act like it. Let's get something straight. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be legendary. And the only reason the devil ever had a chance was because for a moment you forgot that. You started doubting your mission because you weren't getting claps. You slowed down because people didn't see what you were building. You mistook silence for failure and started questioning if you were really chosen at all. How dare you? When a sniper is on a mission, do they stop to explain themselves to every civilian they pass? No, they move in silence, locked in, dialed into the target, because distraction is death when purpose is on the line. You think you're being ignored, but you're not being ignored. You're being hidden for precision, hidden for protection. The universe doesn't expose a masterpiece until it's untouchable. You've been asking why no one sees you. But maybe the real question is, why do you still need them to? You were never built for crowds. You were built for purpose, and purpose doesn't scream for attention. It moves through fire with its mouth shut and its fists clenched. That's why you scare the devil so much. You're not reactive. You're not petty. You're not possessed by ego or chasing opinions like crumbs on a dirty floor. You are governed by mission. That makes you silent but strategic, humble but lethal, calm but completely unstoppable. Chosen one, let me say it clearly. If you need likes to move, you're not on mission. You're in captivity, because ego will have you performing for people who don't even matter, while your calling quietly withers behind your back. You're not here to look powerful. You're here to be powerful. You're not here to win arguments. You're here to win territory. And that only happens when you stop reacting and start executing. You ever seen a lion stop to bark back at a hyena? Never. And yet, here you are, losing sleep over opinions from people who couldn't last 1 hour carrying your assignment. Here's your reality check. Not everyone is supposed to get it. They're not supposed to understand you. Your instructions weren't public. Your assignment didn't come with a group chat. You were briefed in isolation for a reason. So stop expecting validation in public. Your clarity scares the devil because it makes you immune to distraction. You're not just focused, you're locked in. You move like someone who isn't asking for approval because you already got it from the only source that matters, the one that assigned you. So let them talk, let them doubt, let them scroll past. You're not built for noise, you're wired for execution. Get back on mission. Number 5, you didn't clap back. You glowed up, and it ruined the devil's whole agenda. Let's make one thing clear. The devil didn't just want to hurt you. He wanted to deform you, twist you, poison you. He wanted you to become a reflection of the hate thrown at you, bitter, cold, unforgiving. He didn't care about the pain itself. He cared about what the pain could turn you into. And for a while, he thought it was working. You were angry, exhausted, questioning whether being good was even worth it anymore. You started thinking maybe matching their energy was the only way to win, that maybe love made you weak, that maybe grace was for fools. How dare you even entertain that? You didn't survive hell just to start walking like one of its demons. You weren't chosen to mirror the hatred. You were chosen to outgrow it, outclass it, to rise without revenge. And let me tell you something, that's the real power play. The devil sends hate to reroute your heart, but you flipped the script. You took the ugliest parts of the experience, the slander, the betrayal, the disrespect, and you refused to become what tried to break you. You stood in the fire and didn't let it burn your character. You held on to love, not the naive, weak kind, but the sharp, clear kind. The kind that loves with boundaries, the kind that loves without losing self-respect. That's rare, that's disruptive, that's exactly why the devil lost his mind. Because you didn't come out of the war bitter, you came out brilliant, you didn't hate back, you leveled up, and nothing makes the enemy tremble more than a soul that can't be baited into hatred. That's the kind of energy he can't touch. Understand this, anyone can throw shade, anyone can clap back, but it takes real power to stay graceful when everything in you wants to explode. It takes strength to say, I see what you're doing, but I won't become you. That's not weakness. That's emotional royalty. That's cosmic maturity. And chosen one, if you ever doubted yourself for being too loving, for choosing peace over pettiness, snap out of it. You didn't get played. You played it perfectly. You're not stupid for having a soft heart. You're strategic. You kept your light while everyone else was scrambling in the dark, and now they don't know how to handle it. You forgave without reopening doors. You healed without holding grudges. You didn't get even, you got elevated. That's what real ones do. The devil didn't just lose the battle. He lost the bet that pain would turn you into a monster. You didn't match their darkness. You stayed the flame. And now the whole room sees who the real problem always was. Number 6. You made fear your footstool. Now it doesn't even speak when you walk in. Fear used to own you. Let's not lie. It used to keep you small, quiet, tame. You'd hesitate before you spoke, flinch before you moved, shrink just to keep the peace. Fear had you on a leash so tight you forgot you were a lion. But something changed. Something snapped. And now, fear doesn't paralyze you. It respects you. Because you didn't just survive fear. You sat with it, ate with it, stared it in the face and said, "Is this all you've got?" And it blinked first. Most people run from fear like it's a monster in the dark. But you turned the lights on. You studied its voice. You tracked its patterns. You learned where it hides. And that's why you're not scared anymore. Not because the threats disappeared, but because you're not fooled by them. Fear's power comes from mystery, from shadows, from making you imagine things worse than they are. But once you walked straight into it and didn't die, the illusion shattered. You realized the cage was unlocked the whole time. Fear was never the enemy, it was the test. And now you use it like a compass. When something scares you, you don't back off, you lean in. Because now you understand, fear doesn't point to danger, it points to destiny. And that right there, that's why the devil's trembling. Because you've become the one thing he never wanted, unshakable. Not because life got easier, but because you got sharper. Now when fear whispers, you don't freeze, you focus. You don't spiral, you strategize. And the devil has no response for that. He's run out of scripts. Chosen one, don't you ever doubt your strength again. You already walked through the valley where most people die emotionally. You were afraid, yes, but you moved anyway. That's not weakness, that's legendary, that's warriorship. That's you saying, fear can sit at my table, but it doesn't get to cook. You're not fearless because you're reckless. You're fearless because you've suffered, bled, cried, failed, and you're still standing. You know fear personally now. You've seen it naked, and it's smaller than you thought. So when fear tries to talk now, all it hears is its own echo, bouncing off the steel walls of your will. That's why they can't break you anymore, because they're trying to scare someone who's already been to hell and came back laughing. You're not new to pain. You're not new to risk. You've already gambled your heart, your dreams, your sanity, and you're still here. Fear lost its edge the day you realized you were built to bend, not break. You've dined with fear, and now you eat lions for breakfast. Number 7, you're spiritually loaded. That's why the devil can't afford to control you. You ever wonder why the devil's pressure on you never lets up? Why the attacks don't slow down, why the smear campaigns, the betrayal, the quiet warfare seem so constant? Simple, because you're not just chosen. You're rich in the one currency he can't counterfeit, spiritual wealth. And let's be clear, he hates that. He can manipulate people with money. He can buy their loyalty with status. He can bait their ego with fake love and likes. He can sell them illusions of power and watch them dance for the applause. But you're not for sale, because what you carry didn't come from a paycheck, a position, or a platform. What you carry came from alignment, pain, growth, and knowing yourself at a level so deep, the enemy can't reach it. You're spiritually wealthy, and that makes you dangerous. The devil doesn't know what to do with someone who can't be bought, bribed, distracted, or seduced by superficial things. You walk into rooms with less money, less recognition, less status, but you still steal the atmosphere. You're magnetic, not because of your outfit or your followers, but because you're rooted in something real. That kind of presence can't be manufactured, and it terrifies him. Your wealth is internal. It's power that was forged in isolation, in betrayal, in breaking and rebuilding. You've cried in places most people would have collapsed in. You've grown in seasons where others would have begged for shortcuts. You took the long road, and now you walk like someone who doesn't owe this world anything. That's spiritual royalty. That's unshakable energy. And yet, some of you doubt your worth because you don't see physical rewards. Wake up. Do you really think the universe is going to throw gold chains at a soul that's being trained to carry legacy? You weren't built to flex. You were built to shift generations, and that requires a different kind of richness. The kind that holds wisdom when others panic. The kind that leads in silence while others scream for attention. The kind that stands calm in storms, because storms don't shake you, they serve you. You're walking around like you're empty when you've got treasures in your spirit that can bankrupt every demon in the room, and the devil knows it. That's why he tries to distract you with the illusion of lack. If you had more money, more followers, more visibility, no. If you had all that without alignment, you'd be cheap, hollow, and sellable like the rest. But because you don't need those things to validate you, he can't move you. Let me break it to you. When someone's full inside, outside power loses its grip. He tried to control you with relationships, with approval, with scarcity mindsets, with fear of missing out, and you outgrew all of it. You stopped chasing breadcrumbs and started baking your own bread. You stopped thirsting for attention and started quenching your own soul. And once you became your own source, you stopped being his puppet. You're spiritually expensive. That's why he can't reach you. You cost too much, and he's broke in every currency that matters. Every time you choose peace over chaos, you cash in on your wealth. Every time you walk away from drama without clapping back, you deposit into your spiritual bank. Every time you choose alignment over attention, you multiply your power. You're not just surviving, you're stacking spiritual equity. And it shows. It shows in your walk, your glow, your silence, your decisions, your boundaries. You're rich where it matters and poor where it doesn't. And now the devil's mad, because no matter how hard he tries, he can't touch you without your permission. He can't drag you into games you've outgrown. He can't shake a soul that's not desperate for things he offers. You don't chase. You attract. You don't beg. You become. That's why every attack is getting more obvious and more desperate. He's running out of tools. He's exposed. He's panicking. You're not corruptible. You're not confused. And you damn sure aren't controllable. You're too aligned to be manipulated, too grounded to be moved, and too purpose-driven to be owned by anything that isn't truth. So walk like it. Stop questioning your value just because it isn't loud. Quiet wealth is still wealth. Spiritual power doesn't always look shiny. It looks solid. It looks still. It looks like you and the devil. He can't afford to lose you, but he already did. Number 8. They can copy the moves, but they'll never crack the code. Let's get something straight once and for all. You can't be cloned. You were not mass-produced. You weren't stamped out by society, culture, or trends. You were crafted, hand-shaped by pain, tested by time, and refined in fires nobody else survived. The devil knows it. And that's exactly why he's desperate. Because no matter how many people try to steal your style, mimic your tone, copy your walk, repeat your words, or wear your image, they still fall flat. You walk into a room and the energy shifts. They walk in trying to be you, and the room shrugs. That's the difference between imitation and authenticity. See, the devil's playbook is cheap. He doesn't create. He duplicates. When he can't destroy you, he sends copycats to dilute you. People who try to mirror your light without carrying the weight that built it. They wear your skin, but can't carry your scars. They borrow your rhythm, but don't know the cost of your beat. He sends counterfeits hoping the world will get confused, but the real ones know. The real ones always know, because what you carry, it's not cosmetic, it's cosmic. It wasn't taught, it was transferred through sleepless nights, broken trust, divine alignment, and relentless growth. You earned your frequency through survival. You became this rare by bleeding privately while building publicly. And that's not something you can copy-paste. You are spiritually exclusive. Let them copy your haircut, your phrases, your aesthetics. Let them study your presence like it's a formula. They'll still miss the one ingredient they'll never find, your soul print. the part of you that moves in sync with the universe, the vibration that can't be faked even when everything else is replicated. And chosen one, don't you ever shrink when you see them mimicking you. Don't flinch, don't feel replaced, don't doubt your power. Remind yourself, fakes only copy originals. The devil knows your frequency is one of one. That's why he sends decoys. He's not trying to replace you. He's trying to distract the ones you're destined to impact. Because if he can't break your power, maybe he can confuse your audience. But what he always forgets is this: the audience built on real energy always returns to the source. Your walk carries a frequency that can't be faked because it's encoded in your pain. Your anointing wasn't handed to you. It was ripped out of suffering, grown in silence, and polished in isolation. That can't be duplicated. It can't be bought. It can't even be explained. It can only be felt. And the devil hates that. Because while his puppets are scrambling to act like you, you're not even trying. You're just being. You walk in truth, and truth has its own gravity. It pulls people in. It breaks illusions. It exposes knockoffs. Let's be real, some of your haters are just fans without the spiritual credentials to carry what you do. They wanted your outcome without your process. They wanted the crown without bleeding for it. And now they're exhausted, trying to keep up with a glow that wasn't assigned to them. The devil thought he could mass-produce your effect, but your effect wasn't mass-produced. It was earned through divine pressure. You're not a personality, you're a frequency shift. You don't just inspire, you activate. You don't just walk, you wake people up. That's not style, that's purpose. You are the blueprint. You're not threatened by imitation because you are the original threat. That's why he sent so many to copy you, because he knew one of you was too powerful, and he was right. But he underestimated one thing. Being you isn't sustainable unless you are you, and every fake version will collapse under the weight of an energy they weren't built to carry. Just give it time. Purpose never needs to rush. It just needs to stay true. So hold your head up higher. Let the devil sweat watching you glow while his copies glitch. Let the mimics wear themselves out. You're not losing power, you're gaining clarity. You're watching the real separate from the replica. You're watching your authenticity outlive the algorithm. Because the truth, you can't be cloned. You were encrypted in spirit, forged in fire, and locked in frequency. And the devil, he'll never crack the code. And that's the part the devil never planned for. You didn't just walk through the fire, you mapped it. You didn't crawl out broken. You came out holding blueprints, strategies, and keys to unlock others still trapped. You're not just a survivor, you're a liberator. And now, chosen one, it's your turn to lead. The enemy wanted to burn you, but you became the architect of escape. If this message hit your spirit, like, subscribe, and drop the number of confirmation, the number 77 in the comments if you know you've got the blueprint. Share this with another chosen one who needs to remember what they carry. Let's wake the others up.